Riverhouse is a good place. Run by the Mental Health Center, it is a safe, supportive environment for people with mental illness. With our own voices, is stories by people who go to Riverhouse.
I'm 60 years old.
60?
Yep.
So what year were you born? Let's see.
Are you
That would be
36?
Did you always live in Missoula?
No, I lived other places.
Uh-huh. Where?
Well, I was born and raised in California.
Uh-huh.
Then I had to come back here in 47 for a few months, about 8 months. Then I went back to California again, came back here on account of my schizophrenia,
Uh-huh.
a mental illness.
Right.
And I had electroshock in Warm
Uh-huh.
Springs, electroshock therapy.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't like them. I hated them things with a passion.
Uh-huh.
Gee, they were terrible. Ooh.
When was this?
I had them in 1950, and I had them in 1952, and I had them in 1953.
Uh-huh.
I took about 66 or more of them.
Is electroshock painful or?
Oh, they were terrible.
Uh-huh.
I hated them things. So they were worse than anything I've ever had. You know?
Uh-huh. What made it so bad?
They knocked me all the way out, and I saw things in them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know. I thought they were terrible.
Anything else, Mella?
Well, I have a friend. Her name is Claire Schindler.
Mm-hmm.
I knew her in Warm Springs since 54.
Uh-huh.
We used to go together all the time. And I knew a man named Elmer Nelson. Did you know Elmer Nelson?
No, I don't know Elmer Nelson.
He died a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
I sure miss him.
What did he do?
He used to dance with me all the time. He was my boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed him very much.
Uh-huh.
I thought he was a real nice guy. I sure liked him.
Uh-huh.
But he died from a heart attack on May 9th, 1973.
And you still miss him?
Yeah. I wish he was alive again.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me get your microphone.
I'm going to sing a song for you.
Oh, okay.
Now, here's a poem here.
All right.
These shots carry down, which is the way to London town. One foot up, the other foot down. That is the way to London town.
Very good.
I'm schizophrenic. I've been schizophrenic since I was 17.
Yeah.
I've been in and out of hospitals.
Were you originally from Montana?
Yes, I'm from Montana.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, my mother died
Uh-huh.
when I was only 7 months old,
Right.
so I never got to meet her.
Right.
I guess she was a real great person, though,
Uh-huh.
you know. Loving mother.
Uh-huh.
She was only 4 feet tall.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were in Warm Springs for 10 years? What was
Yeah.
that like?
Well, they use restraints on people,
Uh-huh.
and it's a lot of disciplinary thing. You know.
Right.
If you goof up, you know, and like strike out at people or something, you know, they have a place where they put you
Uh-huh.
until you're able to control yourself.
Was it a real problem, that type of administration? Did it cause you any harm?
No, they were nice to me.
Uh-huh.
You know, they're pretty lenient, you know.
Uh-huh.
If you strike out at people and stuff, they tie you up, you know.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
That's against the law. That's the rules, you know.
Right.
The rules of the whole thing.
When you were in there for 10 years in one stretch?
Yeah. Well, I got out for 3 months one time.
Uh-huh.
I went to Helena Industries,
Uh-huh.
for about 3 months, and then I went
Yeah.
back to Warm Springs, and I went to back to ITU, this place in Warm Springs, intensive treatment unit.
Yeah.
It's for like people young people, you know,
Uh-huh.
and stuff, like people in there for depression, you know,
Uh-huh.
schizophrenia and schizoaffective or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Something like that. It was a nice place, you know, but I was just coming off of the whole trip about going to Helena, you know, and I got upset, you know, and I was striking out at people and stuff, you know. But I got over that. I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. It's been a long time since I've done.
Yeah. How long has it been since you got out?
13 years ago.
13 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, schizophrenia is not much fun.
No, what is it like? Can you?
Well, you hear voices.
Uh-huh.
And you get scared.
Did you see hallucinations and stuff?
Yeah, I see people's faces.
Uh-huh.
I have audio, and I never used to have visual, but now I have audio and visual.
Right.
So,
Well, anything else you can think of?
I want to say I have a lovely family.
Uh-huh.
They care about me a lot.
Good.
You know what I went and did last night?
What?
I went and bought my sister her favorite perfume.
Oh, nice.
Christmas. What do I feel?
Yeah.
Oh, I just hear voices and
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Uh-huh.
They tell you to do all sorts of weird things, you know, like they tell you to kill yourself, and you know, they try to stop you from doing things. But I don't. I'm stronger than those voices. Those voices ain't gonna hurt me because I'm stronger than that. I don't care about those voices, and they know it too.
You know, the bad times will help people grow mentally, mature-wise. And, you know, I own a trailer now, and nothing was peachy, nothing was, you know, rosy, you know, back in those days. And that was before I had my bipolar disorder. And back then, I wasn't sure what to do with myself. I had tried, you know, a lot of different ways to, you know, find out how I could cure it and what it was. Then I finally discovered I needed some help from some doctors. And right about that time, somebody had given me a precious little cat, and I call him Pookie. And that cat has done me a lot of good. He's been my friend, and he's stuck with me through thick and thin. And Pookie's very special to me. He's my baby. And, you know, I think that animals help a lot with people's mental health. And, you know, this cat, he's just quite a unique kitty cat, you know. But I get a little bit tired of the way, you know, people associate mental illness with, you know, other things. It's like, you know, they think that you're the same as somebody that came out of prison or something, and you're not. You know, it's not anybody's fault that they have a mental illness. You know, sometimes things happen. I take very good care of my cat, and I take very good care of myself, and I enjoy cooking for myself. I go out with my case manager and we do a few things, but I try to ride the bus a lot. I don't live on much money, but what I do have, I try to make it stretch. And, you know, it's just a way of looking at things, you know. I used to have a pretty negative attitude, and then I kind of changed all of that. And, you know, in some ways, I still have to admit that, you know, I'm not perfect. And I still have a tendency to get disgusted at times with some of the people here in this town that, you know, still put stigmas on people with mental illnesses, and they, you know, hold something against you that happened in your past and stuff. And, you know, I still, you know, have some uneasy feelings about what happened to me way back when, you know. And I hope nobody has to go through that experience.
But do you have any parting thoughts, or?
Yeah. When my kitty was born, he had something wrong with him. He was born with an intestinal hernia. And, you know, I raised a kitty that was handicapped for a while, and I got him fixed. I got his hernia fixed, and, you know, I know some people would see that situation as, oh, why would somebody have to give me a cat with that problem, you know? Why would I have to be stuck with this cat with that problem? You know, somebody had, you know, talked me into taking that cat. You know, and a lot of people might have the same attitude, you know, towards the kid, you know. I mean, if it has something wrong with it at birth, you know, sometimes there's certain things that are obvious at birth, and some things aren't, like Down syndrome is obvious at birth, but bipolar isn't. And, you know, I love, even if something happened to my kitty later on and he wound up with one leg or something like that, I would love him anyways. I would love him no matter what, you know. And my point is that nobody is perfect, and sometimes, you know, the things that aren't perfect can wind up, you know, close to it, you know, a very, very wonderful blessing in disguise. You know, Pookie was really sick when I had him, and when he was given to me, and the people were ready to take him down to the Humane Society and destroy him, but I had a kind enough heart to, because they didn't know what to do with a cat that had a problem like that. Nobody would want it, you know, and they asked me, and I took him. And, you know, I don't think that anything that has a disability should be rejected.
The one on the left is a Oriental soup spoon, and I got the idea from a spoon one of my friends had. It was porcelain.
I've seen them, yes, from China.
Yeah, from China. And, you know, I was in a pottery class. I thought, well, what should I make? But the problem was, as you see it sitting flat like that, I neglected to put glaze on the bottom of it. So now the bottom of it's all rough. You can't really use it. Anyway, that other thing, the other blue thing there, is what I call the super slide. And you use that on a guitar, and when you rotate the slide, it pushes down, that tab pushes down a fret higher on the string. If you know anything about guitar playing. See, one fret higher is a major chord, and one fret lower is a minor chord, at least for the third. Then that thing that I didn't get glazed is what I call a reading sleeve. They shouldn't be made out of ceramics, they should be made of rubber and be a little tighter on your finger, but what they do is you just stick your finger in it there. Yeah, that's the one. And a lot of people read by following under the words with their finger, you know? That's a finger enhancer. That's what it is. Yeah, exactly. It's a thing I invented for the purpose of slowly gaining greater speed of reading. So.
Was it a surprise to you when you discovered that you had a mental illness, or did you think that you had one when you got it?
Kind of a surprise. I think my family kind of knew before I actually started seeing a psychiatrist that I had problems or something, or was different or something.
So your family noticed it first?
Yeah.
Well, did you get good psychiatric attention? Did you get the right type of attention for your needs, or was there something wrong with it?
Most time is the right time. Right kind.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
Watch TV.
Watch TV?
Come here a lot.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your life? In particular, I'm interested in knowing where your interest in music came from and when you got going in it.
Well, I was about 16 years old. I was learning how to play a couple of chords on the guitar from my friend Bob O'Connor and his older brother Jimmy. And then from there, I got a guitar when I was 16. I got a guitar. And I started playing more and more and more and more.
Right.
Learning new songs by the Beatles, other people.
What about any other aspects of your life you want to talk about? Anything come to mind that you might want to tell somebody about?
Like coming to Riverhouse?
Yeah, maybe coming to Riverhouse or something like that.
Well, I come here just to pass the time and enjoy people and enjoy my smokes and food and drink.
Uh-huh.
It's a nice place.
Uh-huh.
Well, I play at open mics. There's a place called Bojangles. I play there Monday nights, open mic. Anyone can come down.
Uh-huh.
And on Wednesday nights, I play at a place called Rich on Ryman. They have open mic also.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm continuing to play guitar and piano. I play piano once in a while when I'm here.
Right.
And I had those 2 dates that I played guitar for a half hour in front of people.
Right.
And it's good. It's a good experience.
Yes.
What I want to do though, in the near future, when the new year comes along, is to try to write some new songs.
Uh-huh.
And from there, I might go to Florida the next year, and then offer my songs to my nephew's group. Chunks of Notes, the name of the group. Chunks of Notes. And Chunks of Notes, it's a good group.
Uh-huh.
So I think I offer them my songs, and if they like them, I'm into a band maybe. I'm real lucky.
Uh-huh.
Real lucky.
Uh-huh. But would that be one of your dreams, is to be in a band, or?
I was only in one band once.
Uh-huh.
One band once. That's
Right.
probably the way it is. Yeah, I played guitar in that band, and I sang a little bit.
Uh-huh.
We did a thing called Beatlemania Mania in the senior variety show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that went okay. I did my best performance on the third night, Sunday night. That's my best. When you look into my eyes and you see the crazy gypsy in my soul, it always comes as a surprise when I feel my withered roots begin to grow. Well, I never had a place that I could call my very own, but that's alright, my love, 'cause you're my home. When you touch my weary head and you tell me everything will be alright, you say, use my body for your bed, and my love will keep you warm throughout the night. Well, I'll never be a stranger, and I'll never be alone. Wherever we're together, that's my home. Home could be the Pennsylvania Turnpike. In the hills of California, home is just another word for you.
I guess one thing I want to talk about that's real important to me is the rights of people who have disabilities. And I found that people who have psychological or psychiatric disability are discriminated against in so many ways. I've had housing turned down when they found out that I came to Riverhouse. You know, that even the insurance laws treat mental illness differently than they treat a physical illness, which is kind of funny because mental illness is from a physical cause, so it's basically a physical illness too. And recently I became physically disabled, and I'm just so surprised at how many barriers there are in the community, especially Missoula is really dragging its feet on trying to make places accessible, and I'm in a group that works to fight for those rights, and I think that's really important that people be made aware of how much discrimination there is against mental illness and also against anyone who has a physical disability. people in a chair like myself tend to be treated as children, tend to be treated as if they can't think for themselves, as if they don't know how to do things. You know, I think some individuals think that if you have a physical disability, that you're just completely dependent on outside sources, and that you aren't able to do things for yourself. And all of the people that I know who have physical disabilities remain as independent as they can. But there are so many barriers in society that keep us from being able to do things that, quote, regular people can do.
Right.
And it's really disheartening how much discrimination there is. Just really disheartening.
Can you give us a specific example of something, say
For
in downtown
instance,
Missoula?
well, for instance, I went to vote, and I had called the courthouse to see if my voting place was accessible. They said, yes, it is. So I went there. I went to the front door. There were steps up to the front door. There was no signage as to show an accessible door for me to get in. So I drove around back, and there was one designated parking spot for a person with disabilities. So I parked there, and I had to travel over a pretty rough terrain to get to this one door that looked accessible, but it wasn't marked. It wasn't marked that it was accessible. It wasn't marked that it was for a polling place or to vote there. So I went there thinking, well, maybe I can get in here. Right. To open the door, if you're in a chair, when you open a door on this side, you have to pull the door open, and for me, I don't have enough arm strength to pull it very far, so I have to go off to the right. Well, there happened to be a hole there. I got stuck in the hole. I have some use in my legs, so I was able to push myself out, although I did hurt myself. If I had been a person who had no function in their legs, I would have been stuck there.
You would have had to wait for somebody to come along.
Yes, I would have had to wait for someone to come along. And I got in the polling place, and the judges didn't know how to work the elevator that I came in. Fortunately, I knew how.
Right.
There were 3 other people with disabilities in the polling place who had no idea that the elevator was there, and 2 were on crutches, 1 had a cane, and there was no signage to tell them that there was another way for them to come in. To get in that room, or to get out of that room, I should say, there were steps all the way around. There was no way to get into any other room that I could see. And I asked, I said, is there a way for me to go look in the halls, see if there's signage showing accessibility to this room? They said, no, there are stairs to every entrance. So, you know, I couldn't look for signage. And what really disturbs me is that I think it was about 10 days before the elections, we met, a group that I'm in, met with the elections office and the judges to tell them what to expect for people who had disabilities, what kind of assistance they might require, and what kind of signage they needed, you know, all these things. And yet, at my polling place at least, none of those were taken into account, not one. And I've had calls from 4 other people who had the same experience at different polling places. And it's just high time that Missoula County got in gear and got their America with Disabilities Act program going. The American with Disabilities Act was passed in 1990, and they have yet to even make a transition plan for that.
Really?
And by their own standards, in 1978 there was another I think it was an initiative that was passed. It was called 504, and that was supposed to take effect according to the county's own plan. Let's see, 10 years ago, and probably 10 years about 2 weeks ago. And that has yet to, they don't even have a transition plan for that. And that's how I feel, that they really don't care about people who have disabilities. You know, we want to vote. if I hadn't really wanted to vote it, I would have just not even see the obstacles that I had to get through to go vote were tremendous, and I would just have not voted if it wasn't very important.
Right.
You know, and they want big voter turnout, yet there's so much discrimination that they make it sometimes almost impossible for a person with a disability to vote. And it's high time that Missoula got out of that rut and into the real world, and you know, we just want them to be treated with respect and like any other person.
Due to my mental illness, I faced discrimination, as you say. What do you think is more pervasive, discrimination against persons with physical disabilities or discrimination against people with mental illness?
Well, I think there's a big, with mental illness, you know, people don't know that you have a mental illness often.
Right.
They can't tell by looking at it. But I think the stigma towards that is much greater than with a physical disability. However, the physical barriers that are up for people with physical disabilities are huge.
Right.
But I think the stigma attached to a mental illness is just overbearing sometimes, overwhelming.
Yes.
And it's because of the public's ignorance of the disorders. And I wish we could just educate everyone. You know, we're not a bunch of stark raving mad lunatics who chop up people with axes. I mean, you know, we're not like that. We're pretty much just normal people who just are having a hard time. But I think there's a lot of stigma attached to it, and it's real sad.
Yeah. Well, you have to get to an appointment, I realize. And we should probably wrap it up now. Is there anything else you want to say?
I don't think so. I hope this television program helps other people see that there doesn't need to be that stigma attached. And one thing about Riverhouse I wanted to say, Riverhouse is a wonderful program. It's helped me immensely. I would be probably back in the state hospital if it wasn't for Riverhouse. And the fact that they may be tearing down this building, I'm hoping, and I understand that they'll find a new place to house this.
Right.
But I think it's very important for the community to have Riverhouse here.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.